Welcome back to the Boys and Bolos podcast. We're down here in the barbershop studio. That is where we are. I'm not backing off from that statement. Jarrett, you laugh, but...
Well, you stick by your facts.
I stand by my word.
You're a man built off facts.
This is it. We out here.
We out here.
Week 7 is over. We're moving on to week 8. It's been a little bit of a hiatus for us.
It's been a wild amount of time. A lot has happened.
Well, to tell you the truth, we did plan on doing this a week ago, and then we put it off
Every day.
Since
we came up with
it's not that we haven't hung out or seen each other in the last 2 weeks.
We could have done it.
We could have done it.
We just didn't do
Ample opportunity.
Ample.
But here we are. We're down here. We're doing it. We're getting after it again.
So let's talk about week 7.
Big talking points. I don't want to talk about every game.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about big, because there's so much. The problem is, because we haven't recorded in so long, we have actually like a lot of footy to cover. So we're going to start off with the Prem. The 2-2 tie with Man City Liverpool was awesome, because in the past couple of years, I feel like there have been big games and they've been duds. Last year, there was like the Man U Chelsea game, which I was super excited for, and it was 0-0.
0-0, gouge your eyes out.
And then Man U also had one. I think they had one against Liverpool that was also a gouge your eyes out. It was just boring. It wasn't even like tactically interesting. You weren't like, oh, okay, there's a cool thing with every time he goes wide, he has to pull over and they, try to see how no, it's just boring. But the 2-2 Manchester United Liverpool game was fire. And I think it's solidified. As we've been saying, I think it will be a 3-horse race. I do not think United is going to be in the race. I think it will be City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. And what's the other big thing that happened for you, Jeff, in this week?
Well, I thought it was funny, just as a Spurs fan, that Spurs won. They beat Aston Villa in a very it was a very straightforward Spurs win. They won 2-1. And Arsenal tied. They tied Brighton, which Brighton's been playing good. I'm not gonna shit on them for that, because Brighton's been playing really well, punching way above their weight. And last week they beat Spurs in the North London Derby. I'm talking about week 6, and they're celebrating, and there's a team picture, and it's like they just won the league, and now they're back in 11th, and Spurs are above them. What is happening? It is unbelievable.
Do you think, and obviously we're only in week 7, we need to control ourselves. I'm feeling though that Arsenal are going to finish 9th and above. I don't even see them in the top 8. Because where did they finish last year?
You mean above 9th, like 10th?
No, 9th and above. Where did they finish last year? Remind me.
They finished 8th.
I think they're going to boop one up, and it's the highest. The 9th is the highest they're going to get, because I think Brentford will eventually cool, but West Ham is going to be better. Aston Villa will be competitive, and Leicester and Wolves, as they start to come up the table a little bit more, I just think that they're all better than Arsenal over 2 legs and throughout the season.
Right.
Leicester's obviously, if we want to talk about something in the Premier League,
that's the big
Leicester's the one to talk about.
They're not only doing poorly in the Premier League, they're also doing poorly in the Europa League, which they're not playing against very good teams.
And didn't they lose the FA Cup as well?
Yes, they already lost their FA Cup.
They're already out of the FA Cup. And I don't know if they're out of the League Cup, but I don't really care about the League Cup. So they're out of the FA Cup. They're doing really poorly in Europe.
They may not even make it out of the group stage.
I don't even think they're going to make it out of the group stage.
That's rough.
But maybe, honestly, Brendan Rodgers like, let's just get out of here and focus back on the Prem.
Maybe. But they're really underperforming. I know Madison's been hurt. Vardy always kind of has a slow start, but he's not playing poorly. I mean, Vardy scored a few goals. He banged in like 4 or 5 goals. It's just, I don't think that they have, I don't know, maybe it's
they just don't have the bench to be able to do
both.
Yeah.
This is what I thought would happen to West Ham.
Yeah.
But it's not happening to West Ham, even though they lost. But either way. I thought because West Ham's doing fine in Europa. They've won both their first 2 group games. I thought they were going to be the ones that wouldn't be able to perform on both in all the competitions, but it seems like Leicester is really the one struggling.
Leicester's really struggling. They're sitting currently in the league in the 13th, and last year I don't even think they were outside the top 5 or 6 after week 2. All season. After week 2, once like it settles out. All season. They were like
4th. They were like 4th for pretty much the entire
4th
season.
4th or 3rd consistently. They were the most consistent team last year. So this is maybe also as the team from 2015 or 2016 that won, and I'm blanking on when they exactly. I think they won it in 15 or 16. The team that won it from there is finally all basically gone, sold. Mars was sold. Conte was sold. Drinkwater was sold. You still have Schmeichel. You still have Vardy. But most of the other guys have basically moved on. Christian Fuchs has retired. A lot of those other guys have moved on. So maybe this is where they're going to have a big summer. They have to have a big summer to compete. Now, with the other news that Newcastle is now owned essentially by Saudi Arabia, and they have 320 billion behind them. Now, ideally, FIFA Fair Play still works. We don't know, #Man City. But teams are going to have to spend big money if you're outside of the top 4 this summer to keep the dream going.
Yeah, you just got another player into the ring that can shell out, upwards of 100 million for a player. So it really depends who they're bringing as a sponsor. If fans start showing up for games so they can justify it. Like, there has to be some justification behind, being able to spend that much money. Like, you have to bring in the money to spend the money. Like, hypothetically speaking,
in theory,
because then, so there has to something. It's going to be a slower build than I think that people expect. It's not like they're going to suddenly buy Mbappe, Neymar.
All the memes of like Haaland, Mbappe, Messi, Neymar playing with like all forwards across the front six. That's all just not going to happen. And obviously, any real serious player who's international player and a club player who's serious is only going to want to go to a Champions League team, I would think, at the highest of high levels. Now, there could be some B-level talent, which is still phenomenal, that I think they could attract from other teams. As you've always said, it may be better to play in the Premier League than play in Austria and be on the Champions League team.
Yeah, and I truly believe that they'll eventually get to that maybe 800, 900 million pound valuation team, but it's going to take 5 seasons.
I think that's right.
And it's going to take 5 seasons, and it's going to take them to get first. They're going to be in Europa, and then they're going to be in Europa for like 2 seasons, and then they're going to maybe challenge for 4th, and then they're going to have to buy some more because they have to get that money in. They have to get people believing that there's like an actual project there. They have to get a new manager. Steve Bruce isn't going to be the guy.
That's really brutal. Steve Bruce is just like, first of all, I picked Newcastle go down, and this kind of screws it because I do think in January they're going to bring in some reinforcements enough to just stay in the Premier League. But poor Steve Bruce. The dude's just trying to keep his team up. He knows his only job is to make sure they don't get relegated. Team gets bought, and the next day the first thing is like, they're replacing Bruce.
Yeah.
That's brutal. But I guess
This is what it is.
It is what it is. And I bet you a lot of those players are like, shit, we're about to be, I'm starting now because I'm basically on a championship level side on some level, and I won't be. I mean, say Maximin apparently is now going to be like the new god because they're going to put actual pieces around him to fill it out.
They're going to buy like 2 or 3 players probably in the summer. But you also got to imagine like other teams know that Newcastle has however many billion, So the price of players for Newcastle just went up.
Could be inflated.
It could be inflated.
If I'm Newcastle, come January, I look around at all the top Prem teams, and I just go and pick off my players. I say, all right, Anthony Martial, you're not playing. Come on over. He's all right. I don't think he's great, but he'll do great on that team. I say, okay, Martial, you're coming over. Van de Beek, why don't you come too? You're not playing at United anyway. Why don't you come? I go over to Chelsea and Hudson-Odoi, even on loan. I would just, because they have to stay up. There's got to be a clause in there where it's like if they don't stay up, I mean, the Saudi Arabians aren't going to be super pumped to be playing in the championship. I think being able to own a team in the Premier League these days is like the real billionaire status.
I agree with that. I think you find players that are
just peripheral
fringe players on other teams.
They're 19 to 22. They're not traveling for the European, and so they may be looking for more PT. And if you're going to keep them on the same wages and they know they're going to get more PT, even if it's just in a loan situation, just 6 months to loan, it actually is probably better for both teams. Better for United that Van de Beek is playing and his valuation stays roughly where it was when they bought him because I'm sure it's gone down. And for Newcastle, they just need to stay up. And I'll tell you what it is. It's a nail in the coffin for the teams at the bottom of the table because Newcastle is now going to get all of this influx of cash, I assume, in January, and they're going to be able to spend even 50 million, 60 million.
I'm predicting an announcement of a new sponsor come January 1st.
For sure.
It's going to be hilarious.
If you haven't tweeted that, you need to tweet it.
It's going to be
good.
It's going to be. I won't put the prediction on the pod, but maybe I'll put it in a tweet.
Okay, put it on the tweet.
Yeah.
Because Norwich now is gone. Once now that
they're done.
happens,
It's totally
Newcastle's in 19th. They'll get out of the basement. And teams like Watford and Crystal Palace and Southampton, Leeds won't go down, I don't believe. Well, at least that's like maybe that's more of an emotional comment. They have a logistical comment.
They have cash behind them too. I think they'll spend money in January too.
They have cash, and I think that they've just had some bad bounces, which I think over the longer period they'll fix. But
so I'm sticking with my Southampton relegation.
Oh, I'm
pick.
Still going to stick with my Newcastle pick because now it would be more ridiculous. But, I mean, obviously I didn't foresee that Saudi Arabia was going to come in and buy them.
Well, the whole thing was that the deal was over. Like, we were told that deal was, like, going to be done.
We were told it was dead. It was dead and done. And it wasn't going to happen until the next summer.
In the last 2 weeks, and now it's done.
It's something to say. But let's get away from the Prem and talk about the Nations League, the biggest tournament ever on the planet that no one cares about.
We're talking about international break, baby.
International break, baby. Which has given us the time to not do the podcast.
Wait, not Nations League? That's the tournament that nobody cares about, that everybody wants.
Well, that's the one that Ronaldo won in 2017, and they're like, Ronaldo's won 2 international titles and Messi 0. Now Messi's won the Copa America. And so here's my question. If Messi wins this thing between Argentina, the Euro America Cup, in June, is that like a big time?
Oh, he's the GOAT now.
He's the GOAT.
Definitively.
I just think that FIFA and just overall international governing bodies of soccer, FIFA or UEFA, that's another, or CONMEBOL or CONCACAF or whatever, they have to stop making up fucking games.
Yeah,
Pardon my Spanish.
Just make up.
They're just like, oh, whatever, the Meg tournament. Every Meg will donate $1 million. It's just dumb. And like Courtois, after Belgium was done with the tournament, I think
They had to play a third. They had to play a third.
They had to play the third game, and they're like, "Why are we doing this?" And after that, he was like, "This is dumb. This is all for the. It's all for the money. It's all for the sponsors. We essentially don't want to be here as players. We're overworked at the highest level. We don't have any rest. And we're not going to continue to have rest." And then he started to call out the World Cup in 2022, which I know everyone will say I'm wrong. I still hold out that they're going to send it to England or the United States last minute.
Yeah.
When I say last minute, in like the last 6 months, because having it next winter is going to be so disruptive.
Yeah, they don't realize what they've actually done.
Like, I think they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's going to suck for, like, all the domestic leagues. But they haven't really run it through what that's going to do. Because the fallout after the World Cup, you're basically going to miss, unless they stop the domestic leagues, which I don't think that they can do, all of the top club teams are going to lose their players that continue the whole tournament almost 6 weeks, if not more.
Yeah,
because they're going to have to go into camp.
Yeah, they're talking about at least 6 games.
If not
no,
more.
well, there's usually a break. There's usually an international break in there, so 5.
Yeah, but if you look
games.
at the Prem, because of how heavy December is.
Oh, that's right.
Boxing Day
yeah.
and New Year's, you have 4 or 5 games in about 12 days or whatever it is. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of games. So
your proposition is that they're going to delay it another 6 months and have it in the summer?
No, I think that they're going to pull it and maybe do it this summer. They would have to announce it like in the next couple months, and they would be like, look, we're not going to do Qatar. I know that they've spent a bunch of money, but they've also like imported people from Nepal and Bangladesh, and there's like bodies buried in the stadiums, and they've been like, there's modern day slavery to build these things because they just didn't have a labor force. Qatar's like a super tiny little nation.
Right.
And they brought in all these people, they held their passports, they had them living in like, the slums, and they had them build the stadiums. A lot of people died. So they're like, we're not going to okay that. And FIFA needs to realize that the only reason why international soccer is any good is because they give time for club soccer to develop the players. Because international soccer, like these tournaments, are basically just like showcases.
Right.
But if you didn't have the club throughout the 4 years or the 2 years or whatever it is, you're not going to have that talent. You're not going to have players ready to go.
To me, it's a little bit about both sides think they're more important than the other, right?
What are the two sides?
So the club side
okay. Yeah,
and the international side. So the international folks, all the people that work in these like UEFA, each federation, like each country's federation, thinks that it's more important than the club side. But the clubs are paying the players' wages for the most part, but they're basically exploiting like the pride of the players to play for their countries, because the players all really want to go out and play. So they're basically leveraging the desire of the players to say, well, no, the players want to be here. Like, it's important. This is important. These are important games. These international games are so important. And the club teams are like, yeah, but like we pay them. Like we pay them their salary. Like we're their employer, and they have a chance of getting hurt. Have a chance of getting fatigued. Like, there needs to be like more, and then they won't like compromise, right? And so like, there's a lot of South American players right now, especially during COVID, where like there's 3 games. If they play all 3 games, they still have to quarantine 5 days, and that's dropped from the 10 days. And so they're going to miss a game, their club game. That's if they like got back there right away, right? That's after only playing 2 games. So there's just no compromise. There's no the clubs and the international federations aren't working together. There seems to be like always a conflict between the two. I just don't understand. Like,
I totally agree. There doesn't seem to be, and maybe there is. Clearly, there obviously is at the highest of levels between FIFA and all of the federations. No, actually, I take that back. Maybe there isn't, because there has to be. Because I think for soccer fans, we've been around it. We've always been like, okay, this player plays for this national team and they play for this club, and that's normal. And I don't necessarily always wrap my head around that relationship about, one team will pay the player, the other team will give the player its national pride. But it's like, if all of a sudden the NBA had to deal with LeBron James going to China to play some game for basketball, and then he gets hurt, the NBA, like the LA Lakers, would not stand for that. They're like, that dude, we pay insurance on him. So when he's away, yeah, he's like, repping the red, white, and blue, whatever, and he gets hurt. That's not going to fly.
Right.
So sometimes I have to like remove myself from the context of soccer because it's just so normal. Oh yeah, there's an international break, whatever. It's just like in any other sport, if a team was pulled away, if LeBron James was pulled away, or Giannis Antetokounmpo was pulled away from the Bucks and he has to go play for Greece in some Euro qualifier, and he wrecks his knee, the Bucks are going to be like, "Are you shitting me? He's the MVP.
Yeah,
he got us the title." So I think sometimes we I don't know, maybe the nationalism blinds us a little bit, because as a kid, when I grew up, I wanted to like represent. I wanted to win the World Cup. I didn't want to win the Champions League. I didn't want to win the Premier League. I didn't know about that. It was easier for me to like wrap my head. So I don't know. I just think as a kid, you want to represent your country, because at the most basic level, that's like the desire. So, anyways, they got to figure that out, because you're right. It's punishing South American players currently who are playing in the Premier League and who are playing in different parts of Europe, depending upon the country's COVID restrictions and policies. But we'll see what happens. Going back to the Nations League, I think they should scrap all Nations League. I don't think it matters. And I think if you win the Gold Cup, or you win the Copa America, or you win the Euro Cup, you automatically qualify for the next World Cup.
I said that, right?
You've said that.
I'm like, and that way just let them
just qualify.
Let the tournaments actually have a purpose, right? Because they're only playing these international friendlies, these international qualifying games to get to what? To get to the World Cup. That's what everybody cares about. Fine, make it a premier tournament. Make it something that actually matters, right? Well, it does matter. I'm not trying to take that away from it, but when you add in all these other international tournaments, it lessens the biggest tournament out there, right?
It takes away from the World Cup. And maybe, honestly, I hadn't thought about it until you just said, maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to water it down, because now that Arsene Wenger is out walking around shaking hands saying, we should do this every 24 months. Okay, first of all, Arsene, I think you're actually brilliant. If you look at his wins in the Premier League, I think he actually beats Alex Ferguson in overall wins. He's a genius of football. But, dude, no. The World Cup should be every 4 years. If you make it every 2 years, then every other summer you have a Gold Cup, essentially, or you have the Copa America. It's just like, it's way too much. And I think if the pandemic taught me one thing about football and the whole thing is, like, it was kind of good to have a little break, because then when we came back in, that's actually when we started the podcast, I loved it more. I like to be around it. But when you're always around it, sometimes it's just like, dude, give it a break.
And the players don't want it. Like, the players really don't want it. The players really. This is going to spark a players' union. And I don't think anybody wants that from the money side of football, right? And so you don't want all these players to get behind each other and make a union, because they will. They have money. They could do it. They can make a players' union and start being like, fuck you, we're going to play this many games max.
That's what I'm wondering for. So my thing is, for this next World Cup, maybe I don't think the players have enough foresight to start to do that now, so that way they can play this summer.
It's too early, right?
But I do think in and around the World Cup, come fall 2022, basically a year from now, there are going to be very, very serious conversations about the corporate woke culture that we live in, which is basically like, if we find out that a company's doing something we're not down with, or a brand is doing something, we're just going to boycott it. and we're going to put it all over social media, and we have an ability to now tank anything that we don't want. And that's just the internet and the mass populace. And if the players even start any of this, I think the clubs would love it. They'd be like, fuck yeah, you guys should totally do this, because that way we don't lose some of our best assets over, 15% of our season, 20% of our season, exactly. Which will affect how we finish, because as we know, every point is worth about $1 million something.
And you saw what one player can have as an impact on a team. Cristiano Ronaldo comes back to Man United, and it is like it was like Jesus, the second coming of Jesus, dude.
Jesus.
Hey man. But like, dude, people were like, they came to Old Trafford just to see United in week 6.
Just see Ronaldo.
I mean, yeah, sorry, just see Ronaldo in week 6.
They saw United
too. But like, I'm sure that was a huge factor in him bringing him back. They're like, it paid for itself, easy.
And when you take these players out of the teams, I mean, you take the top players out of the teams, it's still, honestly, on some level, it would actually level the playing field more across the Premier League.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But anyway, let's move on. Nations League. Please put that in the outro, Courtois' comment, because it's just so good. His whole little speech there I couldn't agree with it more. And it was great to see. And let's talk about the U.S. men's team. Let's come over to this side of the pond.
Oh, my God, I'm so embarrassed. So embarrassed.
So we lost to Panama after beating Jamaica.
Which isn't saying much.
Currently
Second. Sorry.
Are we second or third?
Yeah, we're second in the table.
We're
it's
second,
Mexico and then us.
But it doesn't feel like second.
No, it feels like. I mean, if you look at the table, it's not a bunch of hitters, dude.
Actually, before we finish the Nations League comment, France won it, and they won and just didn't care about it because it's Nations League. Continuing on,
Mbappe scored a nice goal though.
Mbappe scored a very nice goal. He was offside. Benzema scored a very nice goal.
Oh yeah, Benzema. He was offside. Yeah, he would have been offsides last year, but this year.
Remember the defender played the ball. Anyway, so CONCACAF, we're sitting in second. Mexico's in first. We play Costa Rica next, and I see Costa Rica. If Berhalter doesn't get all 3 points, he's gone.
Absolutely.
And if he gets all 3 points and it's off a PK in the 90th minute, he might be gone. I have been feeling for a while that, and it was that Alex Yapko who said it, and I just thought it was brilliant. He's like, dude, you can't have all these European kids. Obviously kids who just play in Europe come over here and then they have an MLS coach. And I couldn't agree more. So the only coach that I think from the U.S. that I would like to see coach the team, there's just one guy, and that's Jesse Marsch, because he has been over there killing it at a Champions League level in Europe, and I think he could come back and really actually be perfect to bridge the gap and bridge the divide between the U.S.
Is it Leipzig?
And I believe he's at Leipzig.
Yeah, I don't think he's Leipzig hasn't started.
No, he's not at Leipzig. He's at Salzburg.
Oh, Salzburg.
He's at Salzburg. Yeah, he's at Salzburg. But all that's to say, in the book, and I forget it, I think it's Soccer by the Numbers or whatever, it basically says that for teams outside of South America and Europe, they all will go get South American or Europe coaches. And the ones that don't, and the ones that stay with their national team coaches, like if it's an African team, a guy from Africa, if it's a Central America or CONCACAF team, and they stay with those coaches, they just won't do as well statistically. And that's why most of Central America has Argentine, Mexico's an exception. Argentine, Mexico, or Colombian coaches. Or even normally not Brazilian because of the language barrier, but a lot of Central American teams have been coached by Colombians throughout the year and Argentines. And I just have always felt the same. When we had the most competitive by numbers ever group in the World Cup 2014 with Ghana, top of Africa, Portugal, Cristiano freaking Ronaldo, and Germany, who go on to win it, and we're in there, we came out. And that is because we had Klinsmann. I'm still convinced. That team wasn't very good. But we had Klinsmann, and he was able to navigate through a big tournament. I mean, he's won the tournament in 1990. So that's my feeling. Do you think if Berhalter goes, are you along the same lines? Do you have a...
Yeah, you got to bring in a European coach.
You got to bring in...
You got to bring in a European coach who knows how to coach European players, because the players that need to be on that field, majority of players that need to be on that field every game are European players. And... I'm sorry, MLS. I love the MLS. I love the MLS. I love MLS, but that group of guys that was out there yesterday cannot get it done. They are not good enough. Their first touch is poor. Their tactical awareness is poor. I think Turner just deserves to play with the Euros, because I think he deserves to play in Europe because he's that good. I think he still has some footwork issues and some decision making issues. There's a few mistakes, but he is an exceptional shot stopper. Better than Stefan and better than Horvath, I think, in my opinion. and a lot of people will disagree with me in terms of like Turner. They'll say, yeah, I'm a freaking homer because he plays the Revs, but he that game might have been 2 or 3-0 last night. Let's be real. Like, they were actually putting more shots on goal and pressuring more than US were. I don't think US had many shots on goal. And that's what the most alarming thing about that game was, is that you're playing a Panama team at home. Okay, fine. They're at home. That's hard to play a CONCACAF team at home. But you need to actually play better than the team. Like, these are a bunch of, like, basically semi-professional soccer players. Like,
part of me wonders if Berhalter basically thought of the 3 games that Panama was going to be the easiest.
Yeah, you rest the guys in the middle game.
Yeah,
and then you
because
play
that's
them
where
in
he
the third game.
played. He played a lot of the MLS guys with Leggett, Roldan, Acosta, Zardes. You know, these guys play in the MLS, whatever. I think we have a full 18 guys who can play in Europe that can be on the US team, which is insane, which has never really happened before in my lifetime, which is really, or maybe ever in the history of US soccer. I think one of the biggest problems the US has is we don't have good center backs. I like Tyler Adams in the holding. We're missing Gio Reyna, obviously. We're missing Christian Pulisic. I think we have, like, our starting team, I think, is actually really good. But I don't know 2 center backs. Maybe Miazga, but like
I actually didn't think that Zimmerman played bad yesterday.
You thought he was all right?
I thought he didn't put a foot wrong maybe until the goal.
And
that wasn't even his fault. That was more Zardes' fault, who's playing in the box. He basically was blocking Turner. And it was almost an own goal, pretty much. I mean, Panama didn't do a lot to score that goal. It was the U.S. just flubbing a set piece. But I think Zimmerman actually, the defense actually wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought Turner was fine. I thought Zimmerman played fine. I really just thought there was no presence in midfield. There was no transition. There was nothing happening creatively. Zardes he can hit a ball off his face in the goal any day of the week, but in terms of like actually, creating a lot of stuff, moving forward and creating chances, I don't think Zardes does a lot. I think there's just a lack of cohesion in that Sec B team, as I'm going to call it.
Yeah,
you can tell that those guys don't play a lot together.
I think that's going to be a problem for most national teams, that they don't play a lot. And so knowing that, it's up to Berhalter then to be the one to say, this is how we're going to play, and this is how you need to play, and make decisions quicker. But you can't lose to Panama. You can tie Panama.
That's what I said yesterday.
That's
why I was upset. I'm not upset because they played poorly and it was a tough place to play and they had trouble, right? Because that's fine. You can have trouble, you can struggle and whatever. You can't lose. You can tie. And you can walk out of there with a 0-0 draw and still get a point and be fine with it. But to lose is just like unacceptable. That's my feeling about it, right? It is one game and they'll move on. They play a bunch of games in the qualifying and most likely they'll be fine. My problem is that this team just is it's like they have it. They show a lot, right? Pepe scores a bunch of goals. When Christian's playing and Reyna's playing, it's like dynamic, and you got Destin there, and it's like good, and it feels good, and it looks like a really fun team to watch. And then they go out and they put this B team in, and it's like the guys have never. It's like it's the USL, It's brutal. Like the first touch is off. It's like these aren't professional soccer players. It's really hard.
It's brutal because these players are all better than the way that they played the other night.
Right.
And as I said to you, I think the other night, like Panama is brutal to play. I mean, they literally qualify for World Cup basically just by making Panama brutal to play at. So playing on CONCACAF on the road, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, it fucking does matter. I've played in Central America, and it's fucking brutal. Those fields, I know they look green. They're not flat. And oftentimes, and this is Roger Espinoza who told me this, he was the Honduran captain for years. And he said, oh, yeah, when they would have the U.S. come down or Mexico come down, the lawn care they'd let it grow twice as long to slow the game down and just kill the game and make it more of a physical thing. Because if it's a technical thing, if you have a perfect field, and there's no fans, the U.S. beats Panama 9 out of 10 times, is my thought. When you have that field, the refs, too, were pretty brutal because there should have been a lot more stoppage time. And as soon as it hit 7 minutes, he was like, all right, let's get the hell out of here. So it's just it's literally playing the elements down there. And so I do think that the U.S. qualify. I'm not worried about it, but I would like the U.S. to get a new leader sooner than later, because I don't want them to just wait till we qualify and then fire Berhalter. I want them to start today, tomorrow, yesterday, a new direction. I don't know if I would love to see Antonio Conte. Like, we have the money to go get this guy. It's not about money, I don't believe. So, I don't know. Anyway, you want to move on to week 8?
It's just Berhalter just has, like, I think he thinks too hard, maybe. He's just, like, thinking too hard when he's putting out that team. The rotation's brutal for me. I don't like it. I don't like thinking that you have that much depth and then going out and then you obviously don't have it. Like, you obviously don't have the depth you think you have.
I think playing a 4-3-3 in Panama, too, is showing a little disrespect.
Yeah.
I would have played a 4-5-1, packed it in, kept it a little bit tighter throughout the midfield.
For sure.
And just really focus more on possession, out of the back, slow, kill the game, make it really boring. You got to take the fans out. If you don't take the fans out, you literally are playing 12 men throughout the entire time.
Sure.
So, anyways, let's look at week 8 coming up. This week, there's going to be some good games. You ready?
Sure.
Watford, Liverpool, 7:30 on Saturday.
Oof. Everyone's getting back from international break. Groggy eyes. Groggy hearts.
It's at Vicarage.
Oh, no. Liverpool's got this.
Liverpool should win this game.
Yeah.
And if Liverpool win this game, Watford, now knowing that Newcastle is bringing in the Billies, Watford, the club, the boardrooms of Watford and Crystal Palace are probably going to get dark soon, because they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? So next one, Southampton, Leeds. I'm going to go with Leeds on this one. It's at St. Mary's, though. So I'm actually going to go with a tie, 1-1.
Nope. I'm going to go 3-1 Leeds. I think Leeds are going to get back some players. If international break, they'll get back Bamford, who didn't do any international duty. And, I think it's going to be get Ailing back, get Bamford back, 3-1. Southampton's going down, baby.
Southampton's probably.
Going down.
Hasenhuttle's got the first class. Norwich, Brighton Hove. I got Brighton Hove. It's at Carroll Road, but I still got Brighton Hove.
Sure.
They've been playing well. The next game is Manchester City, Burnley. This is over before it started.
Yep. Manchester City got this.
It's at the Etihad, too, so no help. We'll see if it's the Etihad.
Yeah.
Aston Villa.
It will be, because they're playing.
It will, because it's
whatever.
It's Sean Dyche Turf Moor. The next game, Aston Villa Wolves. This is a spicy one. And the game is going to be at Villa. The Villa lost last. I think Villa are a better team than what they're showing, but I also feel the same way about Wolves. I'm going to go 2-2. Feeling a lot of ties this week.
Jimenez getting back on the score sheet.
Jimenez, I don't know if he'll be able to play, because he'll be coming back. I think Mexico has a midweek game. I don't know what the
he made the roster.
Oh yeah, he played last night.
Holy moly, what a guy.
What a guy.
What a champ.
What a headband.
What a headband. Has to wear that the rest of his playing career, right?
He has to wear it forever, just in the shower, hanging out. He's at the club. 2-2.
Bumps his head on the like a
yeah. If he comes down into the studio, he could like kill himself because it'll hit his head.
Dude, that's dark. I'm gonna give it to Wolves.
That's fair. What's the score?
2-1.
Next game, Leicester City, Manchester United. This is going to be at King Power. If United win this and other things happen, Leicester could continue to drop down the table. And I think, look, I don't think Brendan Rodgers is going to be fired because they won the FA Cup. And, just like the FA Cup allowed.
And they're in Europe as well. I mean,
yeah, he's not going to be fired, right?
He's loved there.
But if they lose this game at King Power.
Alarm bells?
Yeah.
Alarm bells.
Just alarm. One alarm will go off in the King
alarm.
Power.
It's low key the most underperforming and also least criticized team, right? Because Spurs lose 3 in a row and suddenly they're going down to the championship.
Yeah, but that's because you literally bathe yourself in Spurs Twitter. If you were on Leicester Twitter, they're probably saying the same things.
No, they're probably let the good times roll. Vardy's doing air guitar in the corner.
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go just because I want the alarm bells. I'm going 1-0.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You're going United? I don't want United to win, so I want Leicester to win. I think maybe in a couple an Iheanacho and Vardy duet. 2-1.
2-1.
2-1. I think I think what's his name? The main guy, Ronaldo. He'll score a goal.
Guy.
He'll score a goal.
It's 2-1. That's why I say 1-0 Ronaldo goal, and then
it's not.
So the next game is going all the way to Brentford. Chelsea.
Ooh,
this is a banana peel because we should beat them on paper,
yes.
but playing them away, they're not easy. They're playing really well. They're in a good moment. Chelsea may not have all of its players back after international break, depending upon this, that, and the other.
Conte still out?
Conte is still hurt. He didn't play in the final. France won without Conte, which is no one wants to see that.
I think that game would have been over before it started if Conte played. Honestly, they were missing Conte that whole game.
They were. The first half, he would have settled it more than it was. I'm going to go Chelsea, though, 2-0. 2-1, because I want to give Brentford a little love.
They're good like poachers in the box.
Werner scored 2 goals today for Germany. I think it was against San Marino, a country smaller than Beverly. Not important.
Anything to get his confidence up, right?
Anything, dude. He's probably hitting Papa shot at like a carnival, and people are like, go Werner. Go Werner. I'm going 2-1.
Oh, 2-1. I'm going to go 3-0 Chelsea.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't like it. Next game is Sunday. We've got Everton versus West Ham. This is gonna be a little game.
It's gonna be spicy
because Everton right now is in 5th and they're playing well, and West Ham's in 9th, only 3 points behind. So I'm kind of hoping for a tie, so they both stay away from the top dogs. But we will see what happens. I think Everton are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be very close.
2-2, man. Like
it's
this
at
is
Goodison.
not.
It's at Goodison.
2-2.
Goodison's brutal.
2-2.
I got Everton 2-1.
That's not that far. I mean, okay.
I know.
2-2.
Deep analysis.
I think I think that what's his name? The guy in West Ham.
Do you know guys' names now? Antonio
or
Souček.
Probably Antonio will score.
Okay. I mean, I hope so. He's on my fantasy.
Me too.
All right. Next game is Newcastle Tottenham. If you lose this game,
I saw
Twitter will bathe you in negativity.
I saw on the internet that Newcastle sold out this game. First time they sold out.
Newcastle sitting in 19th. Spurs all the way up now to 8th or 9th. Will you lose this game?
No.
You guys need to win this game.
Although we're gonna be without Lo Celso, Romero.
Oh, how can you get by?
Romero,
I know.
our best player, literally. I mean, he did play real. I mean, he is our best center back. That's not saying much because we don't really have.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Sanchez, no Sanchez,
but
he wouldn't play anyway. Let's be real. It would have been Dyer and Romero at center back.
Okay, so are Spurs going to win or not?
Yeah, they're going to win.
What's the score?
3-2.
Dude, so much confidence.
They still have Maximin and they still have
give
Wilson.
a barn burner scoreline.
Wilson's coming back, I think I heard. And they have.
I just hope you don't lose this.
Well, we lost. Who did we lose to recently? Chelsea,
Arsenal.
Who's that really? Who's the third team that was bad? Oh, Crystal Palace.
Oh my God!
But Crystal Palace is better than Newcastle, on paper.
You were really splitting atoms tonight, Jeff.
I don't think that's a. I mean, at least.
All right.
Okay.
You're super confident that Tottenham is going to win. Then I ask you the scoreline. You're like 3-2, which is a barn burner of a game, which really means no team is that much better than the other.
Actually, for them to score 3 goals, that would be something because they only really have scored 6
I'm going to go
goals.
Tottenham 2-0.
I'm going to say, I was going to say 2-0 or 2-1. I'm not going to give him 3. 3's excessive.
3's excessive.
But I think Son is the difference maker, and he'll be playing. He's not hurt anymore.
I'm going to go 2-0.
We got Hill. We got Son. Hill,
all right, next
Hill
game.
made the...
I know, the Spanish team.
Next
game is Arsenal Crystal Palace. A derby.
Oh, I cannot wait for Crystal Palace to beat them down.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, dude.
It's at the Emirates.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're beating them down.
Man, if Arsenal
beatdown.
If Arsenal win the North London Derby Premiership, and they're already like putting up like a huge statue outside, and then they lose to Crystal Palace weeks after tying Brighton Hove, it's really coming. It's full circle for them.
They're gonna lose 2-0.
All right, let's check in on fantasy really quick because I want to see how.
I think I'm in the same place as I used to be. Maybe drop down a spot. I'm like an 8th or 9th. I've looked at it.
Have you? Oh, I'm in 12th. God, why am I so bad at this?
I'm like 9th, right?
Fucking brutal, dude.
8th.
You're in 10th.
Yes, yeah, I dropped down a spot.
But you're tied with 9th. You're tied with Matt Stevens. So Jamie Becker's still in first. The next team is Mitch and Mac Bruges, Ian Achos Conqueso. Nice name. And in the basement is Noah, Eric Chahon, and Jeff Cronin. So that's dark. I want to see what Noah has on his team. Oh, my God.
I don't think he's ever looked at it.
He hasn't looked at it because he has Madison. And he's been hurt forever.
Yeah.
And he has a bunch of people that have been out forever. So, anyways, week 8 is on the horizon.
I haven't received any Bolo keychains in the mail.
No, we've received no Bolo keychains. We get no love.
It's all right. Well, people don't really understand what. I don't think they really grasp the full weight of the offer. It's quite the offer. It's a custom / bespoke offering.
Dude, honestly, that's like the most millennial age thing. You know, motherfuckers will pay more. You're like, it's custom. They're like, man, you're like, it's bespoke. They're like, oh, I'll pay 10x.
Yeah, it's bespoke. I'm making an NFT if you want.
Oh, we should. Ooh. We still have yet to fire up our NFTs on OpenSea. And I think that's because the best NFT projects that I've seen, they literally have 4,000 before they start. And they brandish them. So you can kind of see what they're going to drop. And then they start to drop them. So by the time they drop their 1,000th, they have crazy momentum.
Right.
So we just need to work more on getting our NFTs done. But anyway, I think that's all
NFT
we got.
stands for non-fungible token.
Yeah, exactly.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Just informing our listeners.
Well, thanks for joining the podcast today, and we will see you on the flippity flip. Ciao. Ciao.
This game is just a money game, and we have to be honest about it. This game, we just play it because for the UEFA it's extra money and it's an extra game on TV. You know, for us, okay, it's a good game because it's against Italy, and for Italy it's a good game because it's against Belgium. But after you saw players and coach say, no, we want to play this game. Yeah, of course, everyone wants to play this game. But look, both teams, how much they changed. Other players played also from our side. You know, so if both teams would be in the final, there would have been other players playing. So this just shows that we played too many games. In June, again, 4 Nations League games. Why? Next year we have a World Cup in November. We have to play maybe until the latter stages of June again. We will get injured, you know, and nobody cares about the players anymore. And we in June, after a long season, you will have to play 4 games in the Nations League again. You will have 3 weeks of holiday, and that's not enough for players to be able to continue 12 months on the highest level.
Thanks for listening to the Boys and Bolos podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch at Boys and Bolos.
If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out. You can hit us on any of the social media accounts that Jeff just mentioned, or email us directly at boysandbolos@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, and see you next time.